Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Guys, I got a box from Solinco today that looks like a racket. It ain't strings. They are now making rackets. I know they made rackets a few years back, but they weren't very good. So hopefully these are gonna be better. So these are prototypes that my boy Norm got me to try out. So supposedly one's like a pure drive and the other one's like a blade. So I'm gonna actually, I'm just feeling out the squareness here. But anyway, sorry I got distracted. But you can see here actually, look, a little wider here, like a pure drive. Even has the squareness, and then little thinner beam here, like a blade. So sorry, that distracted me. My buddy Norm sent me these to try out. I'm gonna string them up, do a quick review on it. All right, so hold tight. All right, guys, so on the court today with Coach Andrew Gu and Coach Chris Chien with these Solinco rackets. We're gonna test them out and tell you what we think. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so we just tested these rackets out. I'm gonna start with actually this white one, okay? It's a 98 square inch head, 16 by 19. I'll go over the specs later at the shop, but one thing we noticed was the grip was generous, like a Babolat, so we even put an over grip on it to make it even thicker. So we thought it was a little on the too thick side. But Coach Gu, what did you think of that racket?
The Solinco racket, this one reminds me of the Babolat Pure Strike. Just the control and just how it hits and feels. It reminds me of, like, I think it's a competition of the Pure Strike. My thoughts on it, it's really, I prefer this over the Pure Strike is because it's more solid over all the way around the head. When it hits the sweet spot, it actually has a great response. When it takes off, when it hits the right areas. Even the feel on this racket feels nice. I prefer a little more weight, so I would just probably customize it myself. But like for a stock racket, it's a pretty good and competitive, and very competitive with the Pure Strikes I used in the past. Overall, I mean, this is a solid racket. I could see it being very competitive with the Pure Strike. So for players who want that solid feeling all around the head and a solid racket and a solid feel when you strike the ball, I would probably say this is one of the best ones I've used for a prototype. So I would say they did a really good job on this.
Coach Chris, what did you think of that racket?
So I actually played with this in a match earlier today. Plays just like a Pure Strike, what Coach Gu said earlier. This 98 felt like I got great control when I was hitting with it. And for a prototype, for the new prototype this year, I really enjoyed hitting it with it actually. I was able to move the ball quite well on the court with this, and the serve actually felt really good. I had good response to it. It might be a little bit unwieldy when you're at the net, but other than that, I felt really good when I was playing with this. Plays just like a pure strike in the Babylon pure strike, so it's a really good competitor to it.
When you hit the sweet spot on this racket, you knew. It was like hitting the middle of a target and it going ping, like you knew that it hit the sweet spot and you hit it solidly. So that's the one thing I liked about it. It had good feel. It was muted a little bit, it dampened a little bit, but when you hit that sweet spot, you definitely knew it though with this racket. Then we have the black one, the Solinco black one. What did you think of that one there, Coach?
So for me, what I thought about the Solinco, this definitely reminded me of the Pure Drive from Babylon. It definitely had light, handle heavy on heavy handle on the weight here, but overall, I mean, I can see it being very competitive with the Pure Drives. It swings really well, very fast racket head speed. If you want to get a little more pop, this is the one. I personally prefer the white one because I like a little more control. But for a player that was seeking that power and like that extra oomph to that ball, and like really getting that ball to pop off the court, this is definitely a good racket to have and use for sure.
Coach Chris, what did you think of that racket?
This racket was a lot of effortless power. I really enjoyed playing with this one too. I would like to try it out a little bit more and definitely next time use it in a match. The racket that I can compare it to right now is the Babylon Pure Drive, the one that just came out. I think Coach Gu also mentioned that it plays probably similar to this. And yeah, it's a 100 square inch frame, so I definitely was pretty forgiving when I was, taking bigger swings and bigger cuts at the ball from the ground stroke. Really great response, and whenever you hit it in the sweet spot, it felt really great. Yeah, definitely a fun racket to play with.
I felt that this racket was a little head lighter than a Pure Drive, just a little, because it cut through the air a little faster. Would you guys agree with me on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it had about the same amount of power, if not a smidge more power than a Pure Drive. So, all right, I want to thank Coach Gu, the Laughing Man here, for joining me today. Coach, where can we find you?
You can find me at agu.tennis, and I'll also be posting that content there.
Coach Chris, where can we find you?
At Christopher Chien, Chien.
All right. So we're going to close this one up back at the shop. I want to analyze this a little more over there, and we'll end it there. Stay tuned. Okay, guys. So we just strung up these Solinco rackets, and the first thing that I felt was that these grips are definitely on the generous side. They are a little bigger, like the Babylon rackets. So, okay, it's okay. It's kind of where the industry seems to be going, like with thicker grips now. So the first racket we have is the white one. I'm going to try to put it on the balance board and see where we lie. Okay? So let's see what we get. $327. That's with the strings. So the black racket. So these are again 3/8, and they're a little on the generous side for sure. $320. Looks like 322 there. Hold tight. All right, so at the scale, white racket. 323 total weight strung. All right, let's check the swing weight. Three, 2, 6. Black one. Whoa. 316.5. Swing weight. 318. All right, so let's go analyze. All right, guys, so how did we feel about these rackets from Solinco? There's no names on these, so I'm just calling it the white and the black. Okay, so we'll start with the white. We all thought that this felt very, 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 very similar to a pure strike, 16 by 19. It felt almost just like it, almost. The only difference was this has a little more feel. When you hit the sweet spot, you hit the sweet spot. You knew it. It gave you that feedback that, hey, you hit the sweet spot and you are good, right? And it reacted exactly like how it's supposed to. It had a pretty quick head, so it came through pretty quick. Good feel, decent amount of power. I mean, if you can just imagine a pure strike, right, with a little more feel, this would be it. I even actually looked up what a strike was, and I took some numbers before we went out, and this is what I got. So the weight, string weight was identical. The balance, right there. The swing weight, right there. So you could almost call it a Solinco Pure Strike, 16 by 19, right? It was that close. We actually preferred this over the strike because of the feel, and it wasn't so muted. So surprisingly, really good racket, really good racket. We strung it with Solinco Confidential 16L at 52, and we enjoyed that string in this frame. So that props for creating the Solinco. So the black racket, this black racket from Solinco, we all thought was very, very similar to a Babolat Pure Drive. The main difference was, for some reason, this head went through a little faster. It was maybe a little lighter in the head that caused it to go a little faster through the air. Or it could be, there's these little, this throat was a little interesting. You saw like a squared off piece here, a squared off piece here, and a squared off piece there. I don't know if it's their way of making kind of an aerodynamic throat that allowed for the head to cut through the air a little smoother and faster. That definitely could have been their plan here, because it's kind of in between a pure drive and an arrow in this throat area. So we all liked it. It was, decent amount of power. It was too much power for Coach Andrew, maybe a little too much power for Coach Chris, but definitely not bad. Not bad at all. If you like a pure drive, or you want something kind of in between a pure drive and a pure arrow, this would be a great choice. We definitely would recommend this to you know, pretty much anybody out there. It's a good all-around racket. Now let's look at the numbers here. And so this is a Pure Drive numbers underneath, and this is the black Solinco racket there. So the weight was right there. So the Pure Drive is just a hair heavier. So this is why the head goes through a little quicker. So the balance point is a little head lighter. And then the swing weight is also a little head lighter. So that's why we got a faster head to impart, basically to impart more spin on it, right? So if you want like the plow of a Pure Drive with the speed of an arrow, I think that's what Solinco was trying to make with this racket. So if you want a Pure Drive arrow or a drive arrow, arrow drive, this would be it, right? If you want a combination of both, I would definitely consider getting that racket, okay? But overall impressions about both rackets, I think they got winner on their hands. Both of these rackets are very well made, very well thought out, good choices for alternatives to Babolat Strike and Babolat Pure Drive, Babolat Pure Arrow. Okay, so you guys should definitely try these Solincos. All right, so I want to thank Norm for sending me these rackets to try, and Coach Andrew and Coach Chris for trying them out with me. Okay, thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.